Speaking of women, speaking of crazy stuff, Tampax, the women's hygiene company, just tweeted out, fact, not all women have periods. That's true. Menopause, pre-pubescent. Also a fact, not all people with periods are women. There you lose me. I was with you. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. There you lose me. Let's celebrate the diversity of all people who bleed. Hashtag myth-busting, hashtag period truths, hashtag trans is beautiful. So first of all, I guess they thought this was referring to transgenderism. You know, if a woman pretends to be a man, that obviously she could still menstruate, and therefore, if you believe that a woman can just become a man by saying so, then a man can menstruate. You know, there's a little leap of logic that's going on here that isn't totally kosher, namely that you can just become the other sex by wishing it so. But also, I like the idea of this phrase, people who bleed. We've taken woman, lady, even some sort of disparaging terms for women, broad, dame, whatever. We've taken different words to mean woman. And we have taken out all of their vividness. We've taken out all of the color. We've taken out all of the beauty or, you know, graphic imagery. We've taken it all out and we've just made it so clinical. People who bleed. Well, that's everybody. I bleed. Not that way, but I do bleed. If you cut me, do I not bleed? If I, you know, now I'm evoking my inner Shakespeare. Is that the world we want to live in, where we can't call anything by any name that has specificity or meaning or color or truth to it, because everything has to be clinical and we all have to be the same? That impulse comes from an impulse within liberalism, which is to make everybody exactly the same. So of course men have to become women. Of course any kind of romantic arrangement has to be exactly the same as any other kind of romantic arrangement. Of course, any kind of relationship has to be like any other kind of relationship. Of course, natural institutions like the family or, you know, very basic institutions like local government, local townships, civil society, of course those have to go away, all to the hyper-atomization of the individual. Why? Because then we're all more equal. But we're still differentiated, right? We're differentiated on the basis of sex, most notably. So you got to get rid of that too. Got to get rid of that too. And I love that it begins with fact. Fact. Men have periods. Do you know what fact means? Tells you a lot about fact checking. I was discussing this the other day on the Backstage show. Over the past 10 years or so now, maybe a little bit longer, so about 10 years, we've had fact checks. This is relatively new as a popular phenomenon in the media. The idea that if some politician says something and you fact check it. There are no fact checks. There's no such thing as a fact check in the popular press. There are left-wing opinion columns to varying degrees of extremism, and they call themselves fact checks because the left refuses to acknowledge that there is another perspective. For the left, only their perspective is legitimate. Other perspectives are illegitimate. For the left, only their candidates are legitimate. The other candidates are illegitimate, which is why if the other candidate wins, they don't accept the results of the election, which they didn't do in 2016. They still haven't accepted those results, and they have already said they're not going to accept the results of 2020. Hillary Clinton said Joe Biden shouldn't concede under any circumstances. There is no fact check. It's just a left-wing opinion column. I hope you enjoyed that short segment from the Michael Knowles Show. Be sure to check out the full episode linked in the description or download the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.